Retailer Hudson's Bay is in court this hour to secure financing for the 6 stores that will remain open as the rest of the company begins liquidations. The CBC's Anis Haydari has been covering this and has more details. So, Anis, what are we expecting in court today?
The Bay is trying to get a proposed new agreement to restructure itself approved by the court. And now this agreement would let the company keep 6 stores open, as we've talked about a lot over the last few days. 3 of them are in the Greater Toronto area, 3 of them are in the Greater Montreal area. But it would also force the company to start liquidating those 6 remaining stores less than a week into April if it hasn't found a way to repay some of what it owes or find a way to keep things going in a stable way by April the 4th. Now, lawyers for Hudson's Bay told the Canadian press this wasn't exactly what the company wanted, but the best they could get an agreement on with at least some of its creditors. That lawyer also said the company wanted to try and save more stores to give it more time, but, you know, everyone has to agree, or at least some people have to agree in these deals, and the Bay could not get any more than, you know, really a few extra weeks for those 6 stores. But the court has to say yes, and that's what it's considering today. Now, some of the Bay's creditors oppose this. RioCan, a landlord, opposes it. A group of employees and retirees oppose it. The 2 capital investment groups that the Bay is involved with for their whole bankruptcy protection, creditor protection proceedings, they support this. Unfortunately, we don't really know what's going on in court just yet because we haven't heard much in the courtroom. It got Zoom bombed, so to speak. About an hour into things this morning, anyone watching remotely saw some explicit racist and sexually inappropriate material show up on the video call. The court shut it down. More than an hour and a half later, things still weren't back up. So there are big delays for the Bay in court today, and we don't really know how any of the parties are arguing this so far, Arthi.
So it sounds like it's already been quite an eventful morning, but while these supposed court proceedings are meant to be underway, we also know that thousands of employees are at risk of losing their jobs, and they're learning that they won't get any severance, while their managers are getting millions in retention bonuses. What can you tell us there?
Yeah, my colleague Sophia Harris confirmed with the Bay that it won't be paying severance to the thousands of employees who will probably lose their jobs pretty soon, and that's more than 9,300 people. The Bay is going to pay up to $3 million in retention bonuses to about 120 managers and executives. The point of those bonuses is to be an incentive for staff whose service is deemed as critical to winding down or restructuring the Bay. That's from court documents. We've talked to employment lawyers who say this is actually common practice when a company goes bankrupt or restructures, because otherwise you might see people just run for the exits if they can. But typically in a receivership or a creditor protection situation, companies can decide not to pay severance. Laid off workers have to become unsecured creditors for that sort of money. And if they get any money, it would be pennies on the dollar. I should say the company says workers' pensions should be safe, and workers could get financial support through a federal program that can pay out at least a portion of your severance. But we've also heard from lawyers that say you can't even apply for that sort of assistance until everybody has been laid off, and that could be months from now. Typically, it is the secured creditors, like a bank, let's say, who are guaranteed at least some of their money in a creditor protection hearing. And we've also heard from lawyers who say if workers took priority over, say, a bank or some sort of large creditor, it might discourage them from financing new ventures or lending money to businesses in the future. But the trouble is that it is still potentially leaving thousands of people without thousands of dollars in severance pay, Arthi.
Well, it sounds like the story is still far from over. Thanks for this, Anis. That is the CBC's Anis Haydari in Calgary.